Hello and welcome to Kody and Korbin Have a Podcast, the show where two
And they
former
were roommates.
talk about a new movie every week. This week on the show, we're talking about Palm Springs.
Good day so far? Today, tomorrow, it's all the same.
You! What is going on? Hey, get out of the water!
Guess you followed me. It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
That I might have heard about.
Yeah.
Not only are we talking about Palm Springs, we've got a guest, Jackson Mahuron. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, hello. My name is Jackson. I also do a podcast where we talk about movies called the Cut Retrospective, and I am a coworker of Mr. Korbin over here, and he is just delightful. Thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you. We're doing a little bit of a crossover here. You're on the pod now. I'll be on the pod a few days after this releases, and we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, where people can find you and everything. But really glad to have you. This is the first time that we've had somebody on that not both hosts know. So Kody, are you ready for this?
Oh, I'm very excited. I love having guest episodes, honestly. I just love bringing in like a new, fresh perspective to the pod, because sometimes, we're just like engraved in our ways a little bit. I'm very excited. I don't know Jackson a ton, but I think we're going to like him already from the conversations we've been having. I think he picked a decent movie to talk about as well. So yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah.
One more thing. I'm a big Matt Damon and Interstellar fan. Big fan. Love that guy.
Well, I don't like you anymore now. No, that is a hot take. That is a bad hot take.
bad note here. Palm Springs. Jackson, why don't you tell us why you picked this movie?
Ooh, I picked this movie because in a time of COVID and sadness and depression, I think this was the feel-good movie of that era, right? And I think, how do I put this? Like, what's better than like being stuck inside than getting to watch Andy Samberg stuck in a time loop falling in love? I just think it's delightful.
I can respect that. If you had to be stuck in a time loop with somebody, I guess Andy Samberg wouldn't be the worst person in the world.
Pretty
good. We'll get going with our initial thoughts. So this is actually the third time I've seen this movie. Jackson, I know you've watched this movie like twice in the last 7 days.
It's so good.
Cody, this is your first time watching it, right?
Yeah, this is my first viewing. I missed out on the Hulu original during quarantine, I guess. Didn't get the memo. But yeah, my initial thoughts the first time through, I feel like the first 15 to 20 minutes, you're sort of just like, what is this movie? Like, what is actually going on?
Before you get going further,
okay, sorry.
Did you know anything about this movie, like going into it? Do you have any idea? Nice. I think that makes it better for sure.
Oh, I love that. That's exactly what I choose for most movies, unless it's like a big budget, like action superhero thing. I try not to watch the trailer, if I'm being honest, because I'd really just want to go in straight up, just not knowing what's going on. That's what I did for this movie. I was pleasantly surprised to find, Andy Samberg and the mother from How I Met Your Mother. I forget her name. She looks like Linda Cardellini, but it's not Linda Cardellini.
It's Kristen Milioti.
Yeah, that's probably a tough name to remember. But yeah, I was having a good time, they were hanging out, about to fall in love, and then some dude just shoots him in the ass with an arrow. And I said, all right, I have no idea what this movie's about, but I'm kind of into it. And then obviously the big reveal is it's a Groundhog Day-esque sort of love romantic movie. My initial thoughts are actually had a really good experience with this. I thought maybe it was a little long, a little stretched out at the end. But I think the main cast of just those three, and then obviously the two main, lovers, had actually great chemistry, very believable. And yeah, I actually especially thought the direction was like pretty damn good though. I haven't seen a ton from the person who made this. Again, not good with names, don't remember it. But
Max Barbacow.
Yeah, Max, that was it. Don't know him, but good guy. Seems like I do really enjoy this movie. So yeah, that's my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I'll jump in from there. It's funny that you mentioned that moment when he gets shot with the arrow, because I was reading that that's the moment in the script where Andy Samberg was like, yeah, I like this project. This is interesting. So it's definitely like on a first time watch, it's you're just like, what is going on? And then it just hooks you. It's a really, it's obviously it's the classic time loop. They've done it tons of times, Groundhog Day, Edge of Tomorrow. But I think this puts a fun spin on it in an interesting way. It's a little bit more sciencey. It's a little bit more, it's a lot more comedic, I think, than some of the previous installments. And then just having that great chemistry and that love story at the center of it, I think is a lot of fun. I, like you said, the direction's really good. And I think just the editing in general is really great. When you see those, like the flash, any moment where it like does like kind of a flashback within the time loop, specifically like Sarah's character, when she first wakes up and realizes she's in the time loop, like the way they edited that together, I think the pacing's really great. Also the scenes where she wakes up and then she leaves and she does all the research, the way that they like still create this like time and continuity in a world where everything's repeating over and over again, I think is really impressive. And then I think that's all I got for initial thoughts. Jackson, what do you think? What do you think about this movie on the watch?
Well, going to the arrow bit that you guys both touched on, my favorite thing to do is to recommend this movie, but to tell them to not look anything into it. And then I like to watch it with people. And then the arrow like shot in the back is like the turning point of the movie, almost, where like everything just like really starts to speed up and everyone's just like, wait, what is this movie? And I think it's like one of the funniest parts. It's so funny. Other things that we maybe haven't touched on yet is I'm just a big sucker for comedic montages, and this movie can just that hits a home run every single time. Like they really, like you said, the editing and the pacing works really well. And I think the length of this movie is perfect. A tight 90. Oh, so good. Big fan.
I actually am surprised that Kody mentioned that. This is an hour, I think, hour and 29 minutes. Yeah. So you said it was a little long, is a little surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do back that. Obviously 90 minutes is pretty short for a film. I think it's just the feeling you get, because after like that first 45 minutes where like I feel like she's just ingrained in the loop, you're kind of like, all right, where is this going to go? I feel like maybe that drags on a little bit. Yeah, you guys are probably right. It's probably not that long. It's just like on the first viewing, I feel like maybe it could feel like that. I feel like if I watch this movie again, I might like it even more, if I'm being honest, because like the first 20 minutes, like it's just basically Andy Samberg like being in the right place at the right time, and I feel like that would be like super more enjoyable. Excuse me. But yeah, you guys probably aren't wrong though.
No, yeah, definitely. The whole like intro scene where you see him do this like very intricate dance routine that's based off of chance, and like how did he know to do this and that at that time? And it's because he's just been doing it for forever, like just for so long, which I think is pretty fun. Also, another thing that I wanted to touch on really quick is I think that the world building and explaining the rules for this universe is done really well, and it explores a lot of really cool avenues where you'll have like, oh, well, if you die, you restart. And if you fall asleep, you restart. But you could like technically not fall asleep for a week and continue to live, like continue time. And then as soon as you fall asleep, you restart, which is fun because then you have like moments where Andy Samberg is like, yeah, they kept me alive in the ICU and I slowly died for like a month and it was terrible. Like there's just so many like really fun bits that you can do with the rules that they give you, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the falling asleep rule as well. I think what they could have done as well is they could have had J.K. Simmons do like the Russian sleep testing thing on him and see how long he can actually keep him awake for. I think that would have been a good bit. Yeah, I do agree with the world building as well. Just sort of, like I said before, you're just engraved into this like pretty immediately. And like I was saying, also the direction, to start that, I think is just phenomenal. So yeah.
Yep. The last thing I'll say before we move on to our next category is I think this movie just has a lot of really fun and eccentric side characters. Just like all the guests at the wedding have all these weird moments throughout. And obviously Andy Samberg's character has gotten to explore each of them very deeply. So just those little moments where he like says something or something gets brought up and you're like, each of these people are like complex characters that they've built around him. So I appreciate that a lot. We'll go ahead and move on to the stupidest part.
You stupid.
of this movie. And I'm gonna be honest, I'll get started here. I had some trouble picking this. I don't know. I don't know what it is about this movie that it's one of the first ones where I've really been like, I don't know what I would choose here. So the one thing that I don't love, and I get the choice is interesting, is just the whole bit about the dinosaurs. So they like both have a tripped out experience on mushrooms one night, and they both see the same dinosaurs. And then at the end of the movie, it's meant to be like kind of ambiguous about whether or not they really escaped, or like if they're still living, like what the reality is and isn't. You see the dinosaurs again. I could have just gone with like no dinosaurs at all in this movie, and I think it's just as good of a movie, or maybe better. I don't think they're really necessary. Cody, what do you think?
I agree with that, actually. I think this is sort of the moment that made you angry about The Departed. The rat showing up at the end. I thought the dinosaurs were sort of unnecessary. I think it's just trying to add on another joke at the end, which is all right. That's not a bad thing, but it's sort of just out of place. But yeah, I completely back what you're saying. Actually, this is probably the hardest movie to come up with dumb parts. I feel like just because it is, logically sound and also scientifically sound. I was thinking about talking about, how she becomes like this scientific expert on, physics and, quantum, whatever. But I feel like, there is a decent amount of time for her to do that. And her logic is actually pretty sound. She's, there's also a fun detail where she was video chatting that guy, like talking about whatever. That's an actual, like, real, like, scientist who's he's a legit leader in quantum physics. Yeah. Which I don't know why I knew that, but I did watching it. I was like, oh, I know that guy. So that's a cool bit. But yeah, I think the thing that sort of, this is very nitpicky, by the way. For my dumbest part, I'm saying the dance scene in the bar.
Oh no, that's so good.
I do so like fun. It if it's just Andy Samberg and what's her name just dancing in a bar, but it kind of just seems out of place to me in this movie. It is super fun, I was kind of dancing along as well. But yeah, like I said, that's super nitpicky. Just in like the scope of the plot, doesn't necessarily need to be there, but I still like it. So yeah.
So for me, it was, like I said, it was pretty hard to pick, because I think even the stuff that's dumb is dumb fun in this. So it's really hard to like really criticize it, because it's just a blast. But I would have to agree. The one thing that I feel like is most out of place is the dinosaurs, but I've been giving it more thought. And I think it just kind of lends itself to like, oh yeah, time is really weird here. Like maybe a dinosaur stumbled in somehow and has been like, this dinosaur traveled through time and like hangs out in this desert here, which I think is kind of fun. And the writer actually said that the dinosaurs are meant to be real, and when we see them at the end of the film, it's supposed to be representative that if these are real, then like the metaphor, like the love scene between Niles and Sarah when they first see the dinosaurs are also real, and like that it's a real love, and like if they're capable of finding it, then like the dinosaurs definitely exist and stuff, which is like really weird and metaphorical and stuff. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I know they had a bunch of different alternate endings that they had filmed and did like with test audiences, and this is the one they ended up going with. And I think the ending works. You get a little joke in there with the family showing up, and whether or not it's ambiguous. Cody, I have actually a question. Did you watch the mid-credit scene of this movie?
I did, yeah. The J.K. Simmons scene, yeah.
Just checking.
Which did confuse me a little bit, because they said she said when they blew up the goat, it just disappeared. It never came back.
Right.
But then when they did it, they did come back. I don't know if that's just because they're tangible characters who have to be there for the loop, and the goat necessarily isn't. That was an interesting post credits or mid credits, whatever.
Definitely, maybe some changing in the rules of the universe there.
Yeah.
But I like the scene. It's fun. Speaking of scenes that we like, let's move on to our favorite scene.
She is very gorgeous to me.
Jackson, why don't you get it started? Favorite scene.
I mean, I'm a big, like I said, I'm a big fan of the montages, and there's a couple good ones to pick. There's the the one where Niles is getting tortured by J.K. Simmons a bunch of different times, which is just like kind of hilarious in the ways that happens. But ultimately, I think it comes down to the Niles and Sarah falling in love montage, which includes them like stealing a plane and crashing it, which is just crazy. Them just constantly getting drunk. They put on like a fake heist, like action movie finale, like at the wedding where there's a bomb and a cake and like he shoots it off with a crossbow. It's just insane stuff. It's all over the place and it's so much fun.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love the cake scene you were talking about. If she's like just playing this over the top, like crazy Bond villain, I think.
Yeah.
Then he just pulls it out, like shoots it with an arrow. I definitely do love that. And yeah, mine is sort of like a montage scene as well, but not as much, I don't think. My best scene is when Andy Samberg and J.K. Simmons, they just get toasted in that bathtub. The beginning of it is great as well, where J.K. Simmons is like, "Yeah, that guy's got cocaine or whatever." And in the middle of a speech, Andy Samberg just walks up to him, takes it from him, and then they're just they're vibing in the bathtub, and then it gets emotional. I think that's just great comedic acting right there from both of them. Obviously, great chemistry, and I just love J.K. Simmons in that scene entirely. And yeah, I think that was my favorite part. What do you think, Corbin?
Maybe you'll call me a little bit of a sucker for some romance here, but my personal favorite scene is just the declaration of love from Andy Samberg to Sarah, Kristen Milioti's character. I think it's just really funny. She's like, you only have one sentence, and then he's able to drag it on. My trivia question later will have to do with this section, so I won't get too much into it. But I think like throughout the whole movie, they have really awesome chemistry. And I think this is just a really great culmination of all those moments. On top of that, I think there's a lot of just like really good one-liners in this movie and like just funny jokes. So I have a couple written down here that I just figured I'd read off and maybe we could talk about a little bit. When the dad screams, "This dentist glues teeth." It's a great moment. You're deep in the first Sarah's first day of the time loop and everything's going wrong. And the guy who was Schmidt's dad on New Girl is just out here yelling about teeth. When Andy Samberg says, "I'm the Antichrist," and he says, "JK, there is no God."
That's a great line.
J.K. Simmons saying, "Little Joey over there is watering dog shit." Which there's like, I read online, someone was like, yeah, that's a really metaphorical moment because his daughter is on a pony but it's a horse that's not actually moving forward, and she's going to be stuck in the same place, and then his son is watering dog shit, which will never actually grow into anything.
I mean, yeah, sure, I guess I see it.
Hey, whatever symbolism you can gain is good for you, I guess, right? But yeah, I think this movie is like genuinely funny, so just had to share those lines with the audience real quick.
Yeah, those are great. Those are really good.
We'll move on to who can act.
Wow.
Kody, who can act in this movie?
I think I mean, undoubtedly, all three of them are good. I'm gonna pick not Andy Samberg. I'm sorry. I'm gonna pick J.K. Simmons. I think for the limited screen time that he has, I think he sort of steals this movie. He doesn't, but he could if he had more screen time. I don't know. He said probably like 20 minutes combined, but everything he does is just so memorable. Like me and Jackson were both saying, the drug scene. Also, the montage scene where he's torturing Andy Samberg, both great, both iconic. And then his arc at the end, I thought J.K. Simmons actually did that super well. Also, him getting hit by a cop car was pretty funny as well. But just the emotional depth, the emotional depth at the end where she like has an emotional conversation with Andy Samberg, I thought was great from J.K. Sort of just a turn on what his performance had been the entire time, where he's actually come to peace with this loop, and he's turned from somebody who feels like he's in a rut in his marriage to he's out here just trying to enjoy every single minute with his family. And yeah, I just really like his performance. But yeah, definitely my favorite actor.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons is great in this. I don't think very many people could say shitbird uh, with as much enthusiasm as J.K. Simmons does in this role and make it work. So you got to appreciate that a lot. Honestly, a great performance. Obviously, I had him written down, but then I'll move on and I'll talk about Andy Samberg a little bit. Andy Samberg is really good in this. He's kind of playing himself a little bit, to be fair, but himself is still like really genuine and funny. Whether it's like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Jake Peralta, or Lonely Island, Andy Samberg, like it's all kind of a culmination of the same character. But the chemistry he has with Kristen in this movie is insane, and just like how he's able to balance that, like this being a funny movie, but also like having some real emotional depth to it. Him going through, obviously like the depression and the struggles of being stuck in this time loop is very apparent, and I think he pulls it off really well. And he's able to balance that in a really unique way that I think not many actors could seriously do. And I think without Andy Samberg, this movie, I think you could potentially take J.K. Simmons out and replace him, but I don't think you can take Andy Samberg out of this movie and have it be as good.
True.
Yeah, that may be true. I thought Andy Samberg was good, but sort of what you were saying, I thought he was at times just playing himself. It did feel a lot like this could be Jake Peralta, in a different universe. And yeah, some of the emotional stuff, I don't think he's the best at, but I do agree. I don't think you can have anybody else in this movie except for Andy Samberg. This is definitely his role. Yeah.
Jackson, who do you think can act in this?
I mean, Samberg is great, right? Because not only is he playing himself, but he's tapping into like a really dark and like tortured version of himself. Like he'll play it off like, oh, he's happy-go-lucky, and then he'll be like, I've committed suicide so many times, I like literally don't know if there's like a new way that I haven't thought of it. Like he is like such a dark and tortured version of himself that like plays it off like everything's okay. And I think that's really cool and like pretty like multi-layered, which is fun. And then like I gotta give some love to Kristen Milioti. She's just great. She's very fun. She plays it really cool. I don't know, like her character's just like great. I don't like she plays like the like worst sibling, like the family disappointment really well, kind of, and like kind of carries that on her shoulders really interestingly, and like kind of learns to let loose, and then nothing's like that big of a deal, but at the same time like you can still like make these really important like relationships like in this world where basically nothing matters, and I think she does that really well.
Yeah, I think
that is true. I should have get out of here, Korbin. I should have no, I should have said I also back Kristen a lot. I can relate to the disappointing sibling in the family a lot.
Nice.
And I think she actually was very, very good in this movie. I don't think she was nominated for anything. I think if anybody was, I think she should have been, the first billing for that, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Just her screen time and the amount of story she actually has to deal with. The whole, going to bed with your sister's groom night before. I thought that was actually some super deep stuff, and I thought it was actually touched on pretty well for how like shocking of a subject that is. So yeah, I do back that a lot.
Kody, did you come to that conclusion before the reveal was made, or were you surprised when it was revealed that the person that she was waking up next to was her sister?
Are you asking?
Fiance?
Did I figure it out?
Yeah. Did you guess that little twist, or?
I don't believe I did. I think I wasn't super surprised, but I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Why she's got that look on her face at the wedding all the time. I didn't really know what she was talking about when she like whispered it in her ear. I was like, maybe, but that's pretty gonzo. But yeah, I would not have guessed that if you put it like a gun to my head.
Yeah, I think it's another one of those moments you were talking about, like rewatching this movie potentially. I think like paying attention to like the way that's kind of hinted at throughout makes it a better rewatch. What I was gonna say earlier is I think I might just have a little bit of a predisposition against Kristen because of the atrocity that is the finale,
the final season,
the final season of How I Met Your Mother, and so obviously not her fault, but
no,
I'll always associate her with that, and it's unfortunate.
She was in only the last season, and that is my God, the worst season of all time. So yeah, she's not bad in that season, but her character's not
I don't
great.
mind the season. I just
I hate that season.
dislike the way
It's not a
things
great
go.
finale for sure.
I just dislike the direction the very end.
It wasn't her fault, but yeah,
No, obviously not.
She was in it, so.
So let's talk about who can't act. I had a little bit of trouble picking this one. Jackson, what do you think? Who can't act in this?
So yeah, like you said, this was kind of difficult because I feel like everyone played their role like well. Like I don't think anyone missed the mark. So I'm just kind of going off of like my least favorite character from it because like everyone was great in the role. And I'm giving it to Trevor, who is the Australian officiant. I thought he was good in his role, but I just thought he was like the least interesting to me personally.
Yeah, I feel like for this category, we're all just gonna pick different like super niche side characters.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you're going after one of the big three here, I think you're out of your mind. I had two specifics. Abe, I don't know who the actor is. He's all right. I liked the comedy stuff with him. The scene that I didn't buy at all was him like crying in the shower. I thought that was a little bit cringe, and I just don't think he pulled it off very well. But my main pick here is I hate this guy, the groomsman who like freaks out when that earthquake happens, and he says, "Hold me back! I should have never left the Great Lakes."
That's so funny.
No, it's funny, but that performance is terrible.
Oh,
take anybody out, put me in that role. I say those words better. That guy's absolutely garbage. But yeah, obviously just nitpicking here. But yeah, the groomsman, not a big fan.
Well, first of all, Abe is
that even his name?
Abe. Well, Abe is the fiance.
Yeah.
Okay, that was Abe.
Abe is played by Tyler. I actually don't know how to say his last name. Hoechlin.
Yeah, he's
that's
great.
Superman.
He's Superman right now.
Oh,
and
that's
he's
right.
awesome. It's so fun. He's so
They
fun.
had
I knew he
to-
looked familiar. Yeah,
I guess in
So good.
original screenings, they had to like tone down his like they had the way his abs looked, I guess, was insane when he's like doing the shower scene.
He was too
So
ripped.
they had to like tone them down and
Good for him.
Wow.
So
Respect.
Good for Superman. Now, Kody, is the person you're talking about, is it Randy? Is that
Yes.
the okay? That is also who I have written down as
Let's go.
my can't act.
Randy's great.
Connor O'Malley. He also has the moment. He has a little bit more screen time. There's like when Sarah's talking to him and tells him to like go meet her in the bathroom with the blindfold on. I think it's really funny, but like his acting in that scene when he's talking to her is just like, it's kind of rough. He's overdoing it way too much in this movie, and this is a pretty hammy movie, but I think he's just playing it up way too much, and he's just a complete goofball. So other than that, for the most part, everyone's really good, especially the main three. You can't really complain about them. So any other thoughts on who can't act, guys?
I gotta say, Randy's awesome. I feel like you guys are giving too much hate to Randy.
I think it's a fun character, but I don't like necessarily the way it's played. But
He was in that actor was in one of the I Think You Should Leave sketches. I don't know if you've seen like the first season of that show, but he's in the one where like where Tim Robinson has like the sticker that says like honk if you're horny or whatever. And then like he's just driving behind him, just like honking like crazy. He like follows him to a funeral and stuff. It's like this like insane, crazy bit, and it's really funny. So I was glad to see him.
You're a big fan of that show.
I love it. I really
yeah.
Really love it.
He was a writer on Seth Meyers, Late Night with Seth Meyers for a while.
I imagine he was just a big like friend of everybody. That's
Yeah,
just kind of in this sphere, which is why he was in it. But he's fun. I liked him in this.
What are you guys' thoughts on the parents, on Howard and Pia?
Pia was kind of pointless to this story in a lot of ways, I thought, but I don't know. Like it's just, like you can see the family dynamic of like, oh well, she's the mother.
Well, she's like the stepmom,
Right.
even.
But I think she's like the mom to like the two other siblings. And like it's kind of like one of those situations where Sarah's mom died, and then like the dad remarried and had two kids, and so she kind of feels like the black sheep already, which is kind of like an interesting layer to her character. But I thought Pia was like, as an actress, was like just kind of, she was kind of boring. She didn't really do anything, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they're just super forgettable. Obviously the dad I didn't know from New Girl, so I was like, oh, he's all right. But yeah, I can't even remember much about the mom or doing anything really in the movie. But yeah, I'd just say forgettable.
Yeah, she doesn't have a whole lot to do. Now we're gonna move on to the recast.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
Now's our chance to change out all these terrible characters. Kody, who you replacing Randy with, or who's playing Randy now?
I actually didn't replace Randy. Yeah.
Oh wow, this is a surprise.
Which is a bold statement. Yeah, I went after Abe instead.
Okay.
Soups has got to go. He just didn't seem like a good match for her sister, I thought. So yeah, I said, since we got Schmidt's dad in here, let's just throw in Schmidt.
That's pretty good, actually.
Thank you. I have a great casting back. I'm not sure how I'm not in Hollywood yet. But yeah, I think just his charisma. He's also got the comedic chops, which I think would be a great addition to this cast. Him playing alongside Andy Samberg, I'd love to see that. And yeah, I think that's sort of just like the one character comedically where it could have been a tad bit stronger. So yeah, I like Schmidt a lot. Let's throw him in. Why not? What do you think about that, Korbin?
Yeah, I'd love to see Max Greenfield. Put him in the movie.
Yeah, that's his name. I didn't know that. Sorry.
He plays weird characters and other things. He plays a really interesting character in The Big Short.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun. I think he might be too similar to Andy Samberg and just like in look almost, and in like style that he wouldn't like necessarily work in that role. You kind of need him to be a little. I guess Schmidt can be douchey, but I don't know.
He's a big time.
He's a little too lovable though.
You
I
need
think
the CW look. I think is what you're looking for. The CW aesthetic.
Should
Funny enough,
have gotten Stephen Amell.
Well, funny enough, I am also replacing good old Tyler, Abe, and he's Superman. So I figured, why don't we pick another Superman? Not Henry Cavill, of course, because that would be ridiculous. But Brandon Routh.
That's pretty fun too. I like it.
Speaking of the CW,
yeah, that's also CW.
Also former Superman like 15 years ago. Yeah, I'm just doing that for fun, just because I can do it. There's no particular reason other than I just want to put a different Superman in here, but I think it works, and yeah, I stand by it.
I like it.
Bad pick.
Jackson, who you recasting?
Ahead,
I do have another pick, but we'll move on to Jackson.
Oh, dude.
I have two that I can just blow through really quick. I think Trevor could be a fun, like a Hemsworth brother of some sort, one of those Australians. I think he could be fun with that. But my main one is maybe if you want to
take the representation out of this movie.
Yeah.
Oh
gosh, I shouldn't have said yes to
Interesting.
that before you said it. Oh no.
Wow. Terrible.
My answer is no. Anyways, for my other one,
Australian people are getting represented though, so I guess that's good.
Yes, true. We gotta represent the Aussies. But my other recast would be J.K. Simmons was great. I think he's perfect. But if you had to recast him, I think it would be kind of fun to maybe get like a Bryan Cranston or a Daniel Craig. I think those could both be really fun in that role and could do something like on that like silliness, but still like scary, like in like the hunting montages.
I'll take Bryan Cranston, but fuck Daniel Craig, dude.
What?
I
Wait,
like Daniel
why
Craig,
are you
actually.
anti-Daniel Craig?
Yeah,
I
thought Daniel Craig's a great pick.
I don't like Daniel Craig in Knives Out. And
Whoa.
I think
That's
Knives
so
Out is
controversial.
a great movie, but I hate Daniel Craig in it. And the
Daniel Craig's the
accent
best
he
part of that
does,
movie.
the accent he does is absolutely atrocious. So
That might be Daniel Craig's best performance in Knives Out, for being honest.
Logan Lucky? Not a
yeah,
Daniel
that's
Craig
true.
guy? That's great.
Cody,
Logan Lucky's
Cody loves
amazing.
Logan Lucky.
Logan Lucky
Great.
is
Started.
mad underrated. Fun movie.
So better than anything in the Oceans trilogy, dude.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree to that. Why not? Logan Lucky's awesome.
All right, guys, stop talking about your NASCAR heist movies and let's rein it back in. My second pick is also replacing J.K. Simmons. I think J.K. Simmons is great. But
great.
if I was going to see somebody else in this role, I'm picking another probably man around the same age with a bald head, John Malkovich.
Oh, that's great, actually. Ooh.
John Malkovich is not afraid to play in like a weird
No.
movie. John Malkovich will literally do any kind of weird indie, strange concept movie. I think this would be right up his alley.
True.
He can play a real scary, like gangster, creepy dude that's hunting him down, but also can have some fun as a family man. So, particularly, I really like his performances in. Well, being John Malkovich is obviously a classic, but Rounders and the other one is, oh gosh, why can't I? Oh, Burn After Reading are just, I think, a mix between like those three characters in this movie would be really great.
So what I'm
Burn
hearing
After
is
Reading,
you love him in
super
Bird Box. You're a big Bird Box guy, right?
You know, I never watched Bird Box. I wanted to be different. I wanted to go against the grain.
Oh.
He was just saying yes to a
culture.
lot of different projects in that era, and that was one of them. It wasn't great, but
Smart.
that's a fun pick. I like that a lot.
I'm not sure about Johnny Malkovich there. I think he's very good in Burn After Reading. Actually, that's super underrated Coen Brothers. I don't know if you can go with the arc at the end though. The family man, all happy. I think of John Malkovich. I think of a little anxious,
Falling
little
apart.
psycho. Yeah, a little psychopath.
That's fair.
That's fair.
I could definitely see him doing the the arrows and stuff very, very well. But yeah, dude, you guys are coming after J.K. Simmons. I'm disappointed.
He's great. If I
He
had
is
to
great.
recast anyone, he would make the most sense to me, I think.
Did you do you
Like
have another
Daniel
pick
Craig
here,
does,
Cody?
I did not. I stuck it. I stuck it with the simple. I feel like it's so hard to replace these people. I don't know.
No, yeah, that's fair.
I stayed away from the big dogs. Yeah.
That's fair.
I just like a little bit of parody, gotta keep things interesting.
Yeah, well, I know. I mean, I do that too, to be honest. But, yeah.
Who's Dave Bautista playing, Cody?
That's a great question. I think we should just throw him into Andy Samberg's role, dude. I think he's definitely more likable than Andy Samberg.
He's definitely has the comedic chops, no doubt.
That is also true. Thank you.
He could probably stand still.
Stuber guy.
Oh yeah, Stubert's a classic. Let's move on to Welcome to the Academy.
There's a mistake. Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture.
It's the Academy Awards tonight, and we're gonna pick some awards for Palm Springs to win. Cody, what do you got?
I've got a great award for this movie. I think by far it's the best time loop movie the year it was released. And it's got no competitors, so it wins handily. I would also like to
No, there's actually another movie on Hulu that's like a time loop movie that I think came out in 2020, and I see ads for it all the time. I don't know what it's called, but I don't think it's the only time loop movie.
Well, I guess the Academy's got to double check, and we'll come back to you. But I got a couple more time loop movies I would like to talk about that would also win the award. The obvious one is Groundhog Day. I actually watched it pretty recently, a little dated. Edge of Tomorrow, obviously. Happy Death Day. But the two I wanted to bring to the table that might be a little bit more on the DL. There's a Star Trek: The Next Generation episode, which is very, very good content. So that's not really one I want to talk about. There's a phenomenal episode in the final season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm assuming you guys haven't seen it. Oh my God, it is unbelievable. The last season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually very, very good. And yeah, basically it just follows this time loop, and it's really good. And that's all I got to say. So if it came out in that year, the same year as the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., probably would have gotten second or third. But yeah, this year I'll give it the Oscar for the best time loop movie.
Okay, so correction to my previous statement. There's a movie called Boss Level, which is a time loop movie, but it came out this year. Came out this year. Yeah.
Frank Grillo. Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't make the list.
Hulu has to release a time loop movie every year. Funny enough, I've never seen Groundhog Day, Happy Death Day, Edge of Tomorrow.
Wow.
Or this might be the only time loop movie I've seen other than
Edge of Tomorrow is pretty great.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, most of them are pretty good, honestly. Yeah, Happy Death Day is all right, but the rest of them I'd say are
pretty fun.
Oh yeah, definitely fun.
Yeah. I'll step in here and I'll say, first of all, I think this is a legitimate 100%. I stand by this. This movie should have been nominated for Best Picture in the last year.
I like it.
Listen, especially the pool of 2020, maybe in a regular movie year, probably even like this movie year where there's going to be a lot of really good movies. I would say it probably doesn't get nominated, but in looking back and watching a lot of these Best Picture movies over the last couple months, like I think this is legitimately one of the best movies of 2020. Probably my second favorite, maybe my third favorite movie that came out in 2020. Actually, probably maybe my first favorite movie that was released in 2020. Not necessarily my favorite in the Oscar cycle, but I legitimately think that this movie should have gotten a Best Picture nom, and it's only because the Academy does not recognize comedies of any sort historically. Like there's no love for anything that's comedic, so it was never going to get the nomination. But I stand by that this is a great movie, and that's
got some
pick.
of the bubble noms. What was on the outside of the Best Picture noms that you have taken out? I'm saying, do you know?
What would I have taken out?
Yeah.
Why don't Jackson talk about his
okay. Yeah, if we're doing a serious one really quick, I think this one was highway robbery to not include it for best original screenplay. I thought this one was just so fun and out there that like I assumed it was like definitely going to happen, and it did not. I don't know what it was up against, so maybe Korbin can look that up while I'm vamping. But
here are the movies that were nominated. Which, first of all, they nominated 8. Sound of Metal, Mank, Minari, Promising Young Woman, The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Nomadland, Child of Chicago 7. I've seen all those movies except for one now at this point. And personally, I would say it's better, in my opinion, than definitely Promising Young Woman, Child of Chicago 7, The Father, and Sound of Metal. I think it's better than all those movies.
That's a hot
Sound
take.
of Metal's gonna be there.
That's a spicy take. Sound of Metal is pretty amazing.
So yeah. I would probably drop Promising Young Woman as my least favorite out of those. Obviously, that's a good movie with representation, female director. So it's important to have, movies like that in there. But I would probably drop that. Mank seems pretty hit or miss on people's opinions. Trial of Chicago 7 is also just kind of like an okay movie. But
yeah, those are like specifically just Oscar bait movies too, which is hard to take them out. Yeah, I might back that. Put that in 7 or 8 spot. I think I back that maybe.
Yeah, I like
it. You were right. Not a great year of movies there for Best Picture, if I'm being honest. Kind of weak.
Oh, and I got one more
more
jokey one to give out really quick, and that's how do I even word this? It's like best flannel on screen that I really really want to wear. Like that floral shirt is so great. I can't think of a shirt besides the shirt from Stranger Things season 3. There's just so many good shirts, but that one, number 1. I love that.
That's a great shirt. Should have been nominated for best costume design as well too. We're just racking them up here. Yeah, that's a great shirt.
Yeah, I will just say this really quickly. I am excited. The next what is it? Almost August. So the next 4 months of movies, I think, are going to be ridiculously good. Like I've really insane expectations. My hot take is that this is going to be one of the best movie years in the last 10 years. 2019 was really good as well. And it's a tough one to beat there, but I think outside of 2019, this has the potential to be a really great movie year. So stay tuned for that, guys.
Doesn't it have an asterisk next to it though, just because nothing was released the year before?
Doesn't matter. See, that's the great thing. We're getting movies that should have come out last year and movies that should have come out this year, and it's gonna be really good, and I'm looking forward to it. So
I love it.
Let's move on to our weird movie details trivia.
Naked grandma. Naked, huh?
I have 2 questions. I will ask the first one. You guys can lock in your answers at a certain point. So in the final speech that I was talking about earlier, where he, is declaring his love, and she says, "You have 1 sentence." He uses various forms of punctuation in order to continue speaking. Which of these forms of punctuation did he not use? Comma, period, semicolon, ellipses, colon.
Can I answer? I know.
We could do a 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Kody, do you have an idea?
Yes, I'm pretty sure I'm right, but I could be wrong.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Period.
Colon. No, he used an emphatic period at the end.
which is just an exclamation point.
The
That's what it is.
answer is semicolon.
Semicolon. Yeah, it was either semicolon or.
He
colon.
doesn't. Okay.
He says colon the first time. I think he probably means a semicolon, but he does not use a semicolon.
I have to contest this. He
That's
says
what I was 50-50.
he says emphatic period. That's not a period. That's an exclamation
That's
point.
a period.
He uses period. And then
There's an
he
adjective
says
attached.
it was emphatic because he didn't want an exclamation point.
Oh my gosh.
He didn't want to seem desperate. Yeah.
All right,
That's
one
I was close. I should have got that. God damn it.
one of you
All right,
can ask the next question.
Okay,
I also have
I didn't
two.
make this multiple choice,
go ahead.
but I have one that I'm just
Okay.
curious if you guys know. How long was Niles stuck in the time loop for? If you had to guess.
I looked this up and I don't remember.
I read something that was like it was between 40 years and 40
49?
million years.
Yeah, it's 40. It might be 49 to maybe. I think she was 27 to 27 million. I think it's
Okay.
49 to 49 million. I could be wrong.
The writer Andy Sierra said that Niles was stuck in the time loop for 40 years. Can you guys just closest one? How many days did he repeat?
So it's just a math question now. I don't know.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what
Just take a guess.
12,000
40
plus,
times 365, right? I don't
It's
know.
12,000
Uh,
plus 40 times 65. 40 times 60 is
Yeah, Korbin, you did the
240.
math
So I'm
There
gonna
you go.
say
Would add them together.
12,300 something.
I'll say 12,301.
The answer is 14,600 days.
I forgot to
So.
carry something there.
I won
crazy.
Price
That's
is Right.
way too
rules
many
there.
days.
Beautiful. All right. Kody, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I got a couple. I'll go with my easy one first. So what specific date do they live over and over again? And I do have multiple choice here because I was nice.
I know the answer to this, so
I forget,
that's good to
but
choose.
maybe I'll get it.
we'll let Jackson hear the multiple choice.
I got three options. Is it November 9th, November 10th, or November 11th?
Oh,
Sticking
come
in
on,
November.
dude.
Not gonna make.
I
it
knew it
easy.
was November something. I was just waiting for that to be the only November. I'm gonna go November 9th, I think.
November
Corbin, what do you
9th.
think?
November 9th.
Yeah, that is the correct answer.
All right,
Good
let's
guess.
go.
Yeah,
Let's
Because
good
go.
job.
and then at the end they say, "Oh, I guess they come back on November 10th."
Yeah.
So good. So
Family
fun.
comes back. Speaking of, we've got a lot of questions regarding days, which I guess matters for this movie. How many days did it take to shoot this film?
Ooh.
I will give you options.
Okay.
Go for it.
17, 19, 21, 36. That is it.
Are those all the
Wow, that's like all of
Did
those
they
are crazy
shoot this
impressive.
under a month? No way. I feel like it's the lowest one just because you baited it that low. That is insane.
I'm gonna go with the second to lowest one. I forget what it is, but
So 17, 19, 21, 36.
I'm going 19.
I want to go 17, but I'm going to go 21.
The movie was shot in 21 days,
Let's
3
go.
weeks to shoot this movie.
Wow, that's so impressive. That's
That is
great.
I mean, that's
How
what
is
you
that
got to
possible?
like. This
Yeah.
is truly an indie film. Like,
yeah.
It premiered at Sundance, was sold for like $14 million at Sundance. But the budget on it was insanely small. And I mean, you got to shoot really quick. It is a tight 90, like we talked about. So I guess it's not impossible, but
Some
very
efficient
impressive.
stuff there. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is very impressive. I do have another question, and I don't have multiple choice for this one, so you might have to just pull something out of your ass. So yeah, in the movie, they actually created a specific brand of beer, and yeah, I want to hear what you guys think it's called. What's the beer brand?
I forget what it's called, but I remember reading that like it is like a language for something that has to do with like a loop or something like that, and like the logo on the beer has imagery from the movie or something, which I thought was pretty cool, but I can't remember what it's called.
You are
There's
correct.
no chance.
Some context as well. Yeah, in Sanskrit, it actually means unlimited and unbounded, and in Hinduism, it's the name of a tortoise who is described as one who is without death. and I
Cool.
believe there's like a little turtle on it. So yeah, it's actually
love
pretty
it.
cool detail. Corbin, let's hear your guess, dude.
Is it Natter Days by Natural Light strawberry lemonade flavor?
I wish it was, but unfortunately,
I have no idea. I'm gonna have to pass.
It's just gibberish. The answer is Akupara. Akupara with a K. So I thought
Fair
that
enough.
was super
I
interesting.
knew it was like a fake beer that they had
the
created for
backstory
this,
as well.
but
Yeah, I just thought that was really funny
yeah,
detail.
that's fun. Jackson, did you have another question?
I didn't. I only prepared the one.
That's okay.
But I also thought I had the dinosaur information sprinkled in, but I already talked about that. So
No,
That's true.
That's fine. All right, Kody, you got one more then?
No, those might too.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you said you had one. All right.
No.
Now it's pitch time. And I know this is something that Jackson actually enjoys doing quite a lot. He's always got crazy pitches, whether it's his horror movie version of Geppetto or
I forgot you heard that one.
or what he wants to see Gina Carano do at the Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro. He's
I want
always
her
got
to quit is what I want her to do. I want her to stop working.
he's always got fun pitches for movies. So we'll get him started. What's your pitch for a spinoff, a sequel, a mini series, a comic? But like, what do you want to see out of this universe?
Yeah. So like honestly, I feel like with this premise, it's tough in a lot of ways. And what I think would serve it best would be to take this like indie movie approach, like with what they did with What We Do in the Shadows, which is like a fun like indie mockumentary, and turn it into an FX series, but like give it its own flavor. So like it's not the same characters, but it like takes place in the same universe. And I think like, I don't know, you could do like a family get together and they all go to this cave, or like maybe it's like a college trip and it's like all these like kids that get stuck there. And I think you could just do it with like a different group of people, and maybe subvert the genre a little bit by having it be like a coming of age, or maybe like even like kind of like a horror genre with Happy Death Day, or just something like that, which I think would be cool. But I think it's best served in an FX series or mini series, like limited series.
So let's see what happens on November 10th.
Like maybe who else?
Someone else shows up to Palm Springs.
Yeah,
popular vacation spot. So
I mean, you could also always do the grandma spinoff, because
I was gonna say,
yeah, how have we not talked about
it.
her? Yeah, that was so weird. That's actually a great idea though. FX makes great TV. And yeah, you could literally just spin this off any way you could possibly think of. So I love that a lot, actually. Yeah, it's a good.
And you could even do it in like an anthology type series where it's like, okay, this character is stuck in a time loop. What does he do this day? What do they do this day? And it doesn't have to like have any like crazy consequences. It could just be like oh wow, this guy gets in some crazy wacky adventures from day to day, and he doesn't have to like stay around Palm Springs. We could see Andy Samberg get on that plane and go to Ecuador and do a bunch of horse tranquilizers or something, and then he immediately gets killed off the plane or something like that. You can see like all this with that, but I think anthology FX spinoff is like the perfect way to do it.
I like it. Kody, what's your pitch?
Yeah, that's obviously a good pitch. Tough to follow. I said I wanted to see just a strictly spin-off, maybe a series, maybe just like a short film of just J.K. Simmons' story. I think just seeing it from his perspective would just make it a much different movie, honestly. More of an emotional core involved, and still some comedy, but not as much, I think. Because I really do enjoy his arc, like I was talking about before. I think obviously just going from the downer to hating his marriage, and just going on this bender with Andy Samberg. And then I just want to see him like preparing like to hunt Andy Samberg, like just figuring out what he's going to do on a daily basis. Like he's just leaving his family at random points of the night with, all this camo and stuff on. And then obviously the arc at the end where, he's actually starting to enjoy his life. Yeah, this is, I should have thought of the spinoff that Jackson was talking about, but yeah, I think that would be an interesting story to give. And I just kind of want to see more of J.K. Simmons, I guess.
Yeah, I totally agree. Oh, go on.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I think it is really interesting his arc, because essentially he hates his family and presumably his wife, and so like for him,
she's in the prime of her womanhood, though.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
For his arc, he is basically just like re-falling in love with his wife, but she's not making any like progress like through it. So like each day it's kind of like 50 First Dates, but with J.K. Simmons in like a more dramatic sci-fi type approach, which is really cool. And I definitely think that perspective would be like worth watching.
Exactly. It's like a different sort of love story as well compared to, the one we got in this one, where they're sort of both connected. It's sort of just like a reconnection with one. I do like the 50 First Dates show as well. Good movie. But yeah, the more I think about it, maybe it's good. Oh, definitely classic. Big Adam Sandler guy over here. Corbin's not a fan, but
I actually love 50 First Dates, top 3 rom-com of all time.
Wow, that's bold.
Great movie.
It's great. It's good.
Good movie. Corbin, let's hear your pitch.
I'm kind of a similar direction of you, Kody. Like this is going to be a J.K. Simmons, like as the main character. But I want like kind of almost a mini series, like maybe like 15-minute episodes. I want it to be animated and in the style of kind of like Mitchell versus Machines or Into the Spider-Verse animation.
Cool.
So Simon Lord or Phil Lord and Simon Miller or whatever.
Simon Lord.
I can't remember.
Simon,
yeah, those guys. That animation style. But I want it to be like the A plot is like him basically like it's gonna be like a TV MA mature content, like him killing Andy Samberg. Every episode is like a different way that he kills Andy Samberg. But like as the story progresses, you also get to see that sprinkling in of him like growing to appreciate like his love and like maybe just make it like a 1-season mini series from like the very beginning of him. That first episode can be their first night together, and then you just get to see these random nights where he comes and hunts him down, but you get to grow with the character, and then eventually you reach the same conclusion as they do in the movie where he's loves his life, appreciates his kids,
Very fun.
That's my pitch.
I like that a lot.
Copy me. No, I'm joking. I think you took my idea and elevated a little bit. I do like that a lot as well.
Yeah.
Good pick, bud.
Thank you. So now as we near the end, we are going to give this movie a rating out of 69.
You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong? Am I wrong? It's my favorite.
We'll let the our guest go first. What do you give this movie out of 69?
Oh wow. Okay. Out of 6, I gotta do some math now. I'm gonna give
weird number to go out of.
I don't know why we would choose it. Yeah. We can come back around to you if you need.
My normal star rating is a 4.5 out of 5. So I guess that I'm gonna give that like a 62 out of 69 is what I'm giving it. And then the unit will be cool shirts that I wish I had. So it's 62 out of 69 cool shirts.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know if the math checks out on that one, but I'll trust you.
Pretend it does.
That 4.5 goes to 62. So 62, you said?
Yes, sir. 62 out of 69. Maybe 63 and a half. Maybe I was being a bit too harsh on it.
Our first half score of the entire podcast. This is a big moment.
I love it.
Kody, what do you give this movie?
I'm going a little bit more modest. I'm giving it a 58 out of 69. I think this just fits into just the good movies that are in that rating as well.
Back-to-back 58s for you.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, this is movie in T2. Yeah, I'd say I thoroughly enjoy both of them. So yeah, I think it's a good spot for it. Actually, I didn't even realize that. Yeah, basically everything I was saying. I think this is definitely better than Groundhog Day. But yeah, not as good as that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode. So yeah, 58 is a good spot.
Insane.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's an inch. I didn't expect that to come out.
Yeah, you're gonna have to check it out, dude. It's really good.
Please don't. I watched it to like the Inhumans arc. It's trash and it's not canon. So that's all that matters.
Yeah, no, the Inhuman stuff isn't good, but
gotta make it to the last season. I guess.
Where it's all right. There's like season 4 is good, and then like the last season's good. But yeah, you gotta pick your spots in that show.
I'm gonna give this movie a 56 out of 69. Putting it okay. That's putting it right above Gone Girl and just below School of Rock. So that's where I stick it. 56 out of 69. Gave it 4 stars. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
By the way, I did the math just now. I nailed it. It's 62.1 is
Okay.
the equivalent ratio. So
Gotcha.
Wow.
I did get it actually.
You're a god.
Thank you.
Never doubt,
Thank you.
never doubt Jackson's math again. Yeah.
My apologies. So yeah, now that we've that's the end of the us talking about that business. Now let's move on to what we've been watching lately, and maybe we can give some recommendations to the people. Kody, anything you've been What I heard you saw Black Widow last night, so I guess
That is
we can
true.
start with that.
Yeah, no.
Would you
wrap on a good
recommend it?
episode. Would I recommend Black Widow? I probably would recommend it if you've seen all the other MCU movies. Just from a general movie standpoint, I probably wouldn't. Definitely an interesting movie. I did like that. Frenchie from The Departed was the main bad guy. I didn't like his writing though. So that villain might be the worst in the MCU.
I hated the Dreykov and
yeah.
Natasha interactions.
Just bad.
My
yeah.
pheromones.
Also, they just Taskmaster. I mean, what are they doing? Just terrible. Just absolutely god awful. I don't know what they're doing with Taskmaster. Yeah, the family stuff. David Harbour's really funny. I like Florence Pugh, and yeah, not a great movie though. I do have another recommendation. I was on a little bender myself yesterday. Watched this movie. Watched Black Widow. I also watched Booksmart for the first time, and I'll tell you what, it's pretty dang good. I didn't know much about it. I knew Olivia Wilde directed, but I'll tell you what, it's really good. There's a specific scene, like underwater pool scene. Give me the chills. Just really good stuff from Olivia Wilde. I just love that direction in that movie. I'm being honest. Obviously, the performances from the two leads are also very good. Yeah, I definitely recommend Booksmart. Maybe not so much Black Widow, but yeah, that's my recommendations.
I have a response to that, and it's that this is an anti-Olivia Wilde podcast, and this is a pro Jason Sudeikis podcast.
Oh, I forgot that he would have Jason Sudeikis is in that movie too. So
she left him for Harry Styles. Yeah, and we don't appreciate that. And speaking of Jason Sudeikis,
big downgrade.
Jason Sudeikis is the star writer of a little TV show called Ted Lasso. I don't think I've talked about it on the pod. I don't know if I have or not, but Ted Lasso is fantastic. The season 2 is currently premiering every Friday if you can get your hands on some Apple Plus. But the first season was absolutely phenomenal, like some of the best TV I've seen in a really long time. So I cannot more highly recommend Jason Sudeikis as Ted Lasso. Great movie. Something I won't recommend that Jackson and I saw in theaters actually together 2 nights ago. It's a little movie, little from a small director called Old by M. Night Shyamalan. Just atrocious, just terrifyingly rough, and I don't really have a lot to say about that. But
it was pretty fun. It was fun. It's if you're going on $5 Tuesday, honestly, I think it's worth watching. As crazy as much as Korbin hates it, I think it's worth looking at it at least and like trying to make sense of it. But yeah, it's crazy.
The collective experience. Everybody in the theater was a little older after watching it. So
true. It aged me up. I like that everyone in that movie was just cool with talking through it because we were just like, this is so crazy stupid that we're just going to chat about it. And everyone was it was good vibes all around in the theater, I thought.
Yeah. Jackson, what have you been into? What have you been watching? Anything to recommend?
Yeah, I got a couple things. I've been rewatching Breaking Bad, which has just been super fun. I'm having a blast with that. But all this Abe hate has really got me PO'd, you guys. Like, what the heck? Tyler Hoechlin, even though you guys hated him and you wanted him out of this movie, is, in my opinion, the best modern adaptation of Superman we've ever seen since Christopher Reeves. And I'm going to stand by that because I'm a big nerd. But his show called Superman and Lois, it's a CW show, which I know sounds kind of cringy on its face, and that's totally fair to think that, is a family drama about him and his family and his 2 teenage sons moving out to Smallville to take care of the farm. And it is so good and heartfelt and loving. And it really, I don't know, if you're not about that Superman character, this will make you about him. He is awesome and mature and wise and just everything that you want, and a cool superhero, and he's very relatable, and it's so good. But yeah, Superman and Lois is what I'm recommending.
Might have to check that out. Yeah, I actually like the first couple seasons of Flash are very good. The middle seasons, some sort of Arrow are also decent. But that's just one of the CW that I haven't gotten around to yet.
It's
yeah,
definitely unique. It definitely, I think it stands out and feels totally non-connected to those CW shows. It just stands on its own as like a really interesting family dynamic that I really enjoy, and I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I might have to check it out. Maybe I'll give Abe a second chance. Who knows?
Justice for Abe, okay?
Justice for Abe.
And
like
the other thing that I'll recommend is if you're looking to see a movie this weekend, I'm personally very excited about a movie coming out. It's actually out today, called The Green Knight. I'm gonna go see it tomorrow night, but it's an A24 movie. King Arthur looks like it's just like this epic blockbuster for the summer. And I think, like I said earlier, there's going to be a lot of great movies in theaters. So if you feel comfortable going back to theaters, there's going to be a lot of great opportunities to see some awesome stuff. So Green Knight and a lot more to come. I think we're going to do a podcast here soon where we talk about some of the things that might be coming out in the next few months.
Cool.
Speaking of that, let's talk about Jackson's pod. I'm a big fan of it. I highly recommend it. And
Wow.
so you had a little bit of technical difficulties, but when this releases, your last episode that you have released will be talking about movies that deal with time, correct?
Yeah, it was supposed to. We recorded, and my computer said this isn't going to work out, and then it just crashed, and we lost the episode. So we may do a modern. We may approach that episode at a later time, and may just talk about Old, because man, that movie. There's a lot to talk about with the movie Old. But yeah, we wanted to talk about time, which would have led into Palm Springs because we mentioned that, and I thought that would have been a cool segue. So I think right now our most recent episode, we talked about M. Night Shyamalan as a whole. We went through his whole career, which was really cool. He wrote Stuart Little. I don't know if you guys knew that, which is pretty fascinating. And we talked all about that. Wow, then you're a huge M. Night Shyamalan fan, so that's great. But yeah, we talk about all sorts of stuff. We talk about representation in media through different groups. We talk about we cover news segments like on the show and stuff. We do a lot of stuff with movies. It's very fun, and I'm very excited to have you on. We're going to watch Green Knight and talk about that, and then dive into A24 films, our favorites, which ones work, which ones don't, and yeah, I'm really stoked to have you on.
Yeah, so this episode that you're listening to right now is going to will be released on August 3rd. So if you come the following Friday on August 6th, that's when I'll be on the Rough Cut Retrospective is the name of it. So you can, if you want to go over there and listen to that. Also, your co-host Carter, I'm sure we'll have him on this show at some point. Maybe you guys can have Kody on as well.
Very fun. We would love that.
Do a little bit more crossing over. But I think that's all I've got for today. Why don't you plug the socials for your pod there, Jackson?
Yeah, what of course. We only have an Instagram. We don't have a Twitter like you guys, but we are at roughcut_pod. So give us a follow. We do little polls. We do little games. My dad made some deep fakes for a movie that I'm probably going to post soon. It's very weird and strange. It's great.
Yes, I got to see those. That was very strange. Might have to start doing that for our promotions.
Definitely.
You can follow us at KHAP Podcast, KHAPODCAST, everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok, even though we don't have any TikToks posted. So give us a follow. And
I like that.
I forgot we had a TikTok.
we'll start posting some.
We should start posting on that. Go viral on TikTok.
Hey, might pop off. Thanks for coming on the show, Jackson. And
thank you again for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it for coming on.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Stay gabbing.
Bye.